so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness which creates and animates all things. After years of exploring this awe-inspiring truth on this podcast, I'm super excited to announce that we are now going even deeper down the rabbit hole on the new late-night style consciousness-elevating talk show called Optimistic, which features none other than you, the listeners. Optimistic is taped out of the epic spaceship-esque 8-bedroom property we call the Mystic Manor that myself and the rest of the Optimistic crew now navigate reality from in Venice Beach, California. And you are invited to come experience a Mystic Manor immersion week with us. During your week-long stay, you'll enjoy unique workshops, chef-prepared meals, one-on-one time coaching and consulting with me, and even co-creating magic with me as a guest on both Optimistic and an episode of the Positive Head podcast. When I started this, my aim with these immersive retreats was to facilitate the ultimate spiritual upgrade and tune-up, so to speak, for our guests while providing them with one of the most memorable experiences of their lives. And I'm happy to say that as of this recording, every guest at the end of their trip so far has told me that they have had a profound and transformational experience at the Mystic Manor and that they definitely want to come back. All that being said, we only have a limited number of spots available between now and next July. And as of this recording, about half of those spots are already filled. So if there's any part of you that is screaming, yes, I want to come, I feel like I need to be there, go now and book a slot with me to discuss how we can put our heads together and make it happen at calendly.com/talkwithbrandon. I know for some people, there is also that little voice in their head saying, why not? I can't get off work. I can't afford it, and on and on and on. But, really Henry Ford, I think, said it best. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. And I'm confident that where there's a will, there's a way. And I'm personally committed to doing everything in my power, including discounts and payment plans, to get you here if it is something that truly feels like a huge yes for you energetically and like you're meant to be here. Once again, the link to book time to discuss with me is calendly.com/talkwithbrandon. That's spelled calendly.com/talkwithbrandon. All one word, of course. And book in some time and look forward to seeing you soon here at the Mystic Manor.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. It is Samantha and Erica here today, and we're just cracking up about just what happened last week when we got on our first call together to do this podcast, and we had some technical difficulties.
We sure did. We got cut off a bunch of times. The recording didn't turn out properly. You could probably hear it in the show itself. It was a little messed up, but we did it. We flowed with it.
Yeah, we absolutely did. It was definitely choppy and took a couple takes, but we got there. And so when we were thinking about what we were going to talk about today, we thought, well, what a perfect time, seeing as that right now, it's winter, it's the element of water, it's all about flow, it's the end of the year, it's about endings, there's so much going on right now, and it fit perfectly with us and the challenges and the obstacles that we face and how we were able to flow with it. So we figured that's where we'd start today.
Indeed. Yeah. I love this season of winter. I love it so much. There's so much magic in winter. I love that snowy morning, that untouched, it's like a sea of potential out there. and it's calm and it's peaceful. And there's so much opportunity to go within in winter.
Oh, I love that you said that because I have a very different experience where I'm from Eastern Canada, from Montreal. I spent some years in Ottawa as well, where it's the coldest capital city on the planet. We have minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and it is so frigid that I built up a resentment and a hatred for winter. So I've actually left Canada for the last 8 years and have skipped over winter. However, I do honor this season internally, but I'm still working on developing my relationship again with snow.
Do you know what's really funny? We're the exact opposite. I live in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's perpetual spring and summer here. So
Wow.
I don't get to appreciate winter as much. And so I do appreciate it more. And that's an interesting thing, isn't it? Our perceptions, like when we don't have something, how much more we appreciate it when it's gone.
Oh, it's so true. Yeah, absolutely. Being here now in California, I definitely appreciate not having snow. I think it'll be weird maybe on Christmas, just not weird because I'm used to that now, but maybe it would be desirable to have snow for a couple days. I could do
It
a couple of
sure
days.
is. We leave Arizona for Christmas, so we go up to Colorado and we get that winter, and if we're lucky, we get a white Christmas, and sometimes that happens, and yeah, most magical Christmas ever when that happens.
I do love what you said about going within, taking that time. Where our environment it pushes us to go inside. Winter's the season of death as well, and going in and closing up old loops and tying loose ends and allowing what no longer serves you to die for something new to be reborn in the spring. And so this is such a perfect time to go within and to look at what is coming up for you. What are your thoughts, your behaviors, your patterns, your identities, your personalities, and asking like what is true for you and what gets to come with you into a new year and what gets to die to be transformed.
Totally, yeah. And speaking of perceptions again, these thoughts are feelings. These are our perceptions that are creating our reality, right? So it's really important for us to look at, where are my thoughts? What am I creating? Yeah. And, how we experience each and every little thing in our life winds up being a significant factor to us, right? And then it winds up affecting the other experiences, right? So our perceptions are super important. And a lot of times, if life has kind of beaten us down, we get that perception that that's what life does.
Yeah.
But that is something that we can turn right around in our heads and think about it the other way, as blessings, as opportunities. And that's
Absolutely.
such an important analogy to winter, isn't it? This death for
It
this
really
beautiful period
is.
of growth that's about to come.
It really is. And that's the thing. We experience life or the world, and because we're experiencing it through our own eyes and our own filters, we think that that's the capital T truth of how the world is, right? Maybe if we've been beaten down our entire lives and we've had a lot of struggle and trial and tribulation, we imagine that the world is a hard, cold, cruel place. And we can build these stories about that and feel like that is, again, that capital T truth. And yet we get to recognize that we experience and take in the world through our filters, through our own perception, our own understanding, and our own experiences. And that can shift and that can change, right? And so getting clear on, well, what are the stories? What are the ideas that I have about myself and the world? What are these paradigms I've created in my mind? And are they serving me? Do they feel good? Are they enhancing who I want to be? And do they support the vision I have for myself in the world? And what you said is very true, that the world and reality shifts as we shift in our internal understanding and perception and stories of the world.
Yeah. And we had mentioned a little bit just together before we started recording, but the idea of boundaries. And when we understand ourselves better, we put healthy boundaries in place.
Whew, yeah, I did a Facebook Live yesterday on this, and it was that most people don't know how to even understand how to know or to honor their boundaries. And I feel that that's the main reason why people struggle, why there's a lot of suffering, because where I end and you begin, that's not clear. And so when that's not clear, then there's a lack of self-honoring, there's a lack of self-respect, then we can be depleted, we can build up energetic resentment, anger, frustration, sadness, guilt, blame, and a lot of interpersonal relationship challenges come from not knowing and honoring our boundaries. And then there's the other side. Some people know and honor their boundaries, but in a very aggressive, intense, attacking type of way, which then further perpetuates the pain and the separation between people. And so we're being called to create healthy boundaries and understand and learn how to assert them in a compassionate way.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of the most important things, I think, learning how, because not a lot of people understand how to create a healthy boundary. Like someone asked this question one time, how do I continue to love all these other aspects, but not allow them to be a part of my world? How do I create that boundary? Right. And I think it's really important for us to all understand that yin and yang that we all exist within, this positive and negative, how it is all one. And so we can look at those influences as influences in our life that may be negative, that we want to create a boundary with, but do that with love. Seeing it in the oneness that it is, because that is a healthy boundary. And when you do that, you can say, I'm doing this for me and I'm also doing it for you. And we both win. When everybody wins, that's where we got to get to. Everybody wins.
I have a friend that always says win-win or no deal. And I love that. And that comes up a lot with the clients that I work with, especially in their relationship to their mother or their father, right? They might have a very overbearing, over-controlling, super intense parental figure. A lot of the times they're still supporting them potentially financially, or they have a very strong hold. And it's like, well, I love my mom. I love my dad. I want a relationship with them. And I'm suffocating and I'm drowning. And I feel like they have so much control over me that I can't even breathe. And so how do I negotiate and how do I navigate that relationship where it feels like it's either going to be I lose and they win, or I win and they lose and we lose the relationship? Like, how can we alchemize that challenge so that we can both feel like we're winning and being honored in that relationship? And that's so hard because it's actually going to shift a dynamic in the relationship where one was controlling the other to now be equals. And for parents who tend to be controlling or dominating, that's not always easy. And for children who have been disempowered, that's not always an easy shift. And it's such a necessary shift to come into right relation and harmony and coherence as a relationship.
Totally. Very healing for both, because just because you're the child in this lifetime and that's your parent in this lifetime doesn't mean that's always been the case. So you could have been husband and wife in another lifetime. You could have been the parent. They could have been the child. Regardless, you're working out a very important soul lesson. And our soul lessons that we choose before this incarnation, we first choose to work them out with our parents. So if we want to know where our issues are, what our lessons, what we're trying to learn, look to our relationship with our parents. Yeah. And heal that. And all this karma is released. Forgiveness, forgiveness, forgiveness. That's the biggest thing. Forgiveness with the parents.
Yes. And for all of you positive heads out there, I know that you're all in love with Brandon. And I actually live with Brandon right now. And I also live with his son, Bradley. And it is such a trip witnessing them and feeling into their connection, because sometimes when Bradley will be speaking about Brandon, he'll slip up, and instead of saying my father, he'll say my son. And I've caught Bradley saying it multiple times, and I ask and I tune into it, and we all recognize that Bradley has been Brandon's father in many lifetimes. In this lifetime, they had an agreement to swap roles. But it's so fun because Brandon is the blueprint of the eternal child, and Bradley is such an old man in his soul. And so it's such a trip to experience them together.
Oh, that's so great that you are seeing that dynamic and that it's recognized, because whatever they're learning can be released this time. And so they can go do something different. Yeah.
Yeah, that was another thing. We got to really alchemize something beautiful as a family yesterday. Again, with boundaries and asking for their needs and to understand the challenges. Oftentimes when you're in conflict with somebody, especially if it's a family member, that we have to really honor what we need, but also recognize the real experience or the real perceived experience that the other is going through. Like one person could be wanting more love and attention from their parent. And then the parent could be drowning in all of the pressures of what's going on in their life and didn't even know or notice that the child is going through this. And the child wants the parent to approach and initiate. The parent just wants the child to be upfront and ask. And they're both upset with each other and there's resentment and there's pain. But underneath all of that, it's the desire to connect. And when we can understand that beneath the pain and the aggression or the resentment, like what is that core desire? For the most of the time, it's to be seen, to be heard, to be loved, to be held, to be connected. And so it's really beautiful when we can seek for that golden lining underneath whatever is being presented.
It's totally all about connection. That's all we want as a human species. We are social by nature, and we need the connection with one another. When you were explaining that, it reminded me of this meme. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but this woman is hanging from a cliff and a man is trying to grab her up, but there is a boulder on top of him that she can't see. And then in the mountainside, in a little crevice, is a snake biting her arm. And he's thinking, why can't you just try harder? And she's thinking, well, why can't you just pull me up? So we can never really understand exactly what another person is going through. But when we can have that compassion and understand that you're going through something, because we're all going through something, hands down. If you're a human being, you're going through something. Nobody gets out of this life trauma-free, ever. So it's a good thing to just keep in mind, especially this time of year. It gets kind of crazy out there if you're driving around and people are trying to get to their stores to shop and do all these things that are stressing them out. And, you know, when we can just look and see, all right, they got their stuff going on, then it provides some peace for you too.
What I hear there is compassion, right? Like it's so easy, and we see it all the time, to go into aggression or to judgment or like flip each other off or honk at each other when driving and cut each other off and barrel one another down. And it's such an illusion of separation. And it's perpetuating this aggression type of energy that has been coursing through the collective for a very long time. And when we can really recognize this and ask, is this something that we would like to contribute to? Do we want to contribute to the war and the separation and the confusion and the chaos and the frustration? Or would we like to bring in more compassion so that we can understand each other and unify, to remember that we are all one, right? We're all divine manifestations, finger-like projections of source consciousness. And we've forgotten that. And it's easy to remember that when you're in a bliss cuddle puddle with your best friends. And it's harder to remember that when somebody cuts you off. But maybe their child is in the hospital.
Exactly.
Or their dog just died or something, maybe they just got broken up with. We never know. And so it's not that what they're doing is right necessarily, but everybody has a story.
You never know. Yeah. Another story I'm recollecting about this right now is, I think it was in like a Reader's Digest thing, like a short story. But there was this woman on the subway home from work, and there was a man there with his children, and he was not even paying attention to them whatsoever. And they were just acting like little helligans, running all over the train and bothering people and being loud and And this lady had an awful day at work, and she was getting so irritated that this guy was doing absolutely nothing to chill his kids out. So she finally said something like, yo, are you going to take care of your kids? And he looked at her and he said, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. We just got back from the hospital and their mother died. And I don't know how to tell them. So like, it's shit like that. You never know. You never know what somebody's going through. So we really got to be easy on people. It makes me sad. Yeah.
That's such a powerful story.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And we also, a huge part of my journey was forgiving myself and having compassion with myself for all of the shit that I've done. I have not been an angel. I have definitely gone through a ton of challenges and pain and trauma. And from that place, I have not shown up in the most angelic way, especially to my family. And for the longest time, I beat myself up and hated myself for how I showed up, specifically to my grandparents, to my parents, to my little brother. And I feel that for so long, the inner resentment, the inner shame, and the guilt ate me alive. I got so sick many years, or not many, 5 years ago now, where I almost died. And through my spiritual awakening and through being faced with potentially the end of my life, I got to see that it was the guilt and the shame and the self-hatred that was killing me eating me from the inside out. And so I really was called to learn how to forgive myself and learn how to release the guilt and the blame and the shame that I held so deeply at the cellular core. And by giving myself the grace, knowing that once I knew better, I did better, and that I get to forgive the past because I'm no longer that person. My health started to get better. My life started to get better. My relationships healed. And it really did take doing that inner work and having self-compassion, which is often harder to forgive ourselves than it is to forgive others.
Absolutely, way harder. And thank you so much for sharing that, because that's not an easy thing to admit. When we've beat up on ourselves and carried that much shame and guilt around, and admitting that you haven't been an angel, and I can resonate with that a lot, because I have certainly been awful to people in my life. And what's really nice is when you can have that compassion towards yourself about it, and you can make amends in some way by showing up as the new person that you are and not the past person. So that's a big deal.
Yeah. And, it makes you think about the 12-step program for quitting addiction. I've never had an alcohol addiction, but my father has, and I've read the 12 steps, and I work with it a little bit with my clients. And it's interesting because one of them is to make amends to anyone that you've ever hurt. And you do that. And so you go and you email everyone or call everyone or go and return the thing you stole or whatever it is that you did. And what that does is it actually sets you free, right? It sets you free. And the guilt and the pain and the shame of all of the negative things that you've done, the hurtful things, that's what perpetuates people to continue their addictions, because they can't deal with how much they hate themselves. So they have to numb it down. And so using this step, which is the 12 steps, is one of the most effective programs for addiction. I don't think it's perfect. It's pretty good though. And yeah, self-forgiveness and righting your wrongs, because it's one thing to say, okay, I forgive myself, but if there's still energetic ties or energetic things that are out of alignment, you're still attached to them in one way or another. And so righting those wrongs, alchemizing that pain and the wrongdoings into righteousness, that is such a huge, huge pillar for your wellness and your overall healing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another point that is such a beautiful one that you made. All of those emotions were killing you. They were killing you. And this is true for all disease, that, and especially when we carry guilt and resentment. So, and it's so sad to see when we carry anger towards someone else, and that is what is making us sick, when all we need to do is forgive them. But then people say, well, I can't forgive them. This is look what they did to me. Yeah, but look what they're continuing to do to you. They're killing you. Right. But you're
You're continuing. Yeah, exactly.
Because of
guilt is a double-edged sword.
Totally. Yeah.
That's it. And when we hold resentment towards someone for something they did 20 years ago or 10 years ago or 5 years ago, what they did, the energy of it, you will continue to stab yourself with every single day. And so forgiveness is not a gift you give somebody else, although it is a gift that you give them. But the true gift is what you give yourself when you release yourself from the energy of what happened. So it's not really for them.
Right.
It's for you.
It's for you. Otherwise, you're suffering with the disease. You're the one experiencing it, not them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I see it time and time again with my clients that have fibromyalgia, that have arthritis, that have Hashimoto's, any kind of autoimmune condition, lupus. It's cancer, chronic inflammation. And inflammation is fire in Ayurveda. And fire is anger, resentment, guilt, shame, blame. It's that energetic that is contractual. It's aggressive, it's fiery, and it literally like heats up and contaminates our cell. And it deregulates the natural flow of the body. And so again, like if anyone out there is listening and you're like, yeah, okay, that sounds great, but I'm never going to forgive this person. Just, it's not that forgiving them doesn't make what they did right. It just sets you free. It's an energy thing. It's not an action thing. It's an energy thing. And you deserve to be free, especially if you've been hurt. Like, you don't need to carry that anymore.
And it breaks the karmic bond. So if you have a contract with this person, you don't want to continue this lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, then forgive yourself, forgive them. And that contract can be complete. The cord can be cut, however you want to call it. You can move on. And you don't need to go through this with that person over again in a different type of relationship. So
Ooh, that hit me so hard in my heart. I'm going through a really interesting experience with my partner, who is my twin flame. If anyone knows about twin flames, and we have had many lifetimes together. I've got to see them when we first connected, which I've never seen past lives before. And then in my ayahuasca journeys, I got to witness them. And in my Akashic Records sessions and QHHT hypnosis, I've seen many past lives. And there's so much karma attached to our relationship. And in this lifetime, it feels like we're alchemizing the karmic bonds. And it's so wild to see that the resentment or the buildup of energy that we feel in this lifetime is because of something that he did or I did 3 lifetimes ago. And we're still, we've committed to working this out lifetime over lifetime. And it feels like, wow, we're actually going to get it in this one. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. Well, now is the time. The energies are so intense and we're able to see more clearly because that veil is lifted. So, and like you said, you've been able to see all these lives. You've been able to see the pattern. That's why we do past life regression. So you can see the pattern in what your soul is trying to learn.
And now is the perfect time, right? It's 2019. 9 is the number of endings. This is the end of a decade, right? We only have a couple weeks left. And 2019 is all about closing up. It's all about tying those loose ends, closing cycles, ending old patterns that no longer serve you, really releasing, letting go. 2020, the year of perfect vision, third eye activation, golden codes, Phoenix rising. And so in the next 2 weeks, we really encourage you to take inventory of these thoughts or patterns or karmic relationships that are in your life and asking yourself, do they really serve you? And if not, how can you close them out and let them go to create space for what's wanting to come through?
Yes. And a good way to let things flow is to journal. Yes. Just write it down. Yeah. Let it go. Just let it go.
I love writing things down and then setting them in the fire. So we do that here at the Mystic Manor. We write all of our things that we're letting go. We crumple it up. We thank it. We thank it with so much gratitude for all it's brought us. And then we set it into the fire and we watch it burn. And as we're doing that, we really feel the surrender and the trust of what we're creating space for.
So funny, Samantha. As I was saying that, I could see the burn in my head. So I don't know if I was hearing you or what was happening there. Yes. So
what do you want to release, Erica? I'm so curious.
Oh, wow. I'm already doing a lot of releasing. I just had I had a baby 16 months ago. And so the last 2 years have been an interesting time for me of not quite feeling myself. And it's different having a baby at 40 as opposed to 25. And so it just took a little bit more of a toll on me. And so I'm releasing all of the things that I wasn't so proud of myself that I experienced in the last couple of years, and also just becoming more of myself. Just coming back to myself. Really, it's not a release, but it's more of a bringing back. Yeah.
I love that. Oh, that's so
exciting. How about
you? I really
Thank
honor you. I am letting go of overwhelm. I like to overwhelm myself I'm somebody that likes to do everything. I want to do it all. I want to experience it all and quickly. Like I always say, I only go 2 speeds, fast and super fast. And that has served me. I've been able to do and experience and accomplish a ton. And my body is telling me, Sam, slow down. And so it's also starting to feel overwhelming with everything that I'm holding. And so really being more streamlined and focused and balanced in my energy input and output so that I'm not feeling overwhelmed. Yeah, that's really what I'm calling in for this new year.
I love that because I'd like to call that in too. I'm going to release all that overwhelm as well. Yeah.
Let's take a nice deep breath. Let's breathe into
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, we're going to release overwhelm with our exhale and breathe into like calm, peace and harmony, serenity. Ooh, everyone with us as well. Let's just put a hand on the heart and a hand on the belly and take a deep breath in through your nose, breathing in the feeling of harmony and peace and ease. And then releasing through the mouth, tension and stress and overwhelm.
And there it goes.
Just like that. Let it go. Just let it go.
Sam, thank you so much. This was super fun. I look forward to doing it again next week. Anything you'd like to say before we leave for the day?
2 things. We would love to have you at the Mystic Manor for our retreats. They are so much fun, so transformational, and you get to really dive so deep into yourself, to truly know yourself, to release what is not serving you, to release what you aren't. And so if you have been thinking about it and you want to come do it, make sure that you jump on a call with Brandon. We will link the link in the show notes where you can jump on a call with him and hear all about the experience. And also, as you heard from my podcast a couple of days ago, Brandon and I have also just launched a program called the Address Roadmap. And it's an 8-module program plus a couple bonuses to really help you get into physical alignment with your health and your well-being. So you'll learn everything that you need to know to truly optimize this amazing physical vessel that you have so that you can really be purposeful, pleasurable, and fulfilled in your life. And so that's the Address Roadmap. And we will link we'll link the link in the show notes as well. And right now for all of Positive Heads, there's a 50% off discount. So if you are feeling called to really taking care of your body, make sure that you check out this program.
Excellent. Thank you, Samantha. We're going to leave you with a song today. This is Nako and Medicine for the People, Manifesto. Yes. Until next time, love you all.
And if you're feeling the call to come for a week retreat style Mystic Manor immersion, remember to go now and book your time to speak with me directly about stepping into the optimistic vortex at calendly.com/talk with Brandon while there are still spots left. Otherwise, I look forward to co-creating magic with you at the Mystic Manor.
Well, this is real talk. This is non-stop. It is looped now, tongue and mind, played off the sidewalk, straight to your boombox. How it travels from ear to memory. Well, this is medicine. There's a message within, and each will find it in their own time. Well, this is music. This is how I use it. It makes you move and move the movement. This is how I focus, knowing it's not hopeless, but it sure starts with me and ends on a whole note. Musical medicine, this is my healing, for past and present, future things to come. I see people stressing over space and possessions out of fear and a need for visual aids of our abundance. Give me examples or something tangible, something I can get my hands on and find real meaning. Where is the medicine? Well, I've been searching, and I suppose each will find their own kind. Well, everything's at stake. It makes it hard to concentrate. And there are men who see a war and see a paycheck. Such different programming to live so fearfully. Terror this and terror that, terrible reality. There is no medicine on the television. So turn it off and turn yourself around. And let's just face it, the world's fucking racist. Even the most peaceful of us gets caught in the trend. To live cohesively is almost a fantasy. And we ought to know it starts with humbling our egos. What is the medicine for cultural wounding? Has its moments, has its melodies, has its time. Well, I was listening to the outgoing seasons about climate change and some of the reasons. When the sky opened like I've been hoping, and there came horses by the thousands, and there was thunder on their tongues and lightning on their minds, and they were singing this soul melody from some other time. They sang, don't waste your hate, rather gather and create. Be of service, be a sensible person. Use your words and don't be nervous. You can do this, you've got purpose. Find your medicine and use it. They sang, don't waste your hate, rather gather and create. Be of service, be a sensible person. Use your words and don't be nervous. You can do this, you've got purpose. Find your medicine and use it. They sang, don't waste your hate, rather gather and create. Be a service, be a sensible person. Use your words and don't be nervous. You can do this, you've got purpose. Find medicine and use it.